And that's again something that Fatma brought up. When we're talking about, to both of you really, when we're talking about the center and periphery, and Farida said, what is the periphery? And also then, what is it in the women's movement, the center and the periphery? And here again, I would not only say that it is LGBT, etc., but the citizenship that is recognized legally and socially, etc., is the heterosexual marriage. And that is the privilege, and children. And then if you have your own family, father, whatever, even our law will talk about the sarvara. Even our Nadra card will say who is the sarvara, who are you connected to. All decisions, whether it's inheritance, whether it's who can make decisions when you're ill, when you have, etc. If you don't have somebody making it, if you don't have a brother, you don't have, you can't even, there's also the Hajj problem and, Menon and not. And I actually am personalizing this because I have this, Nazar refused my citizenship. And not only did they refuse it, but I'm continuing to have problems at many levels of, who will make decisions for me if I get ill, etc. Legally, nobody can, because there is no sarvara, and there's nobody here, and I have no cousins, etc., etc. So this, I'm saying, is a, and then on top of that, if we're talking about the heterosexual married, not children, etc., and then if you're a lesbian, so then you have an even, and I am connecting it, saying that it's not the state so much, the state is at the level of Navra, but I'm peripheral to the most radical women's movement. Even there, whenever we talk about it in Vaste, we will not talk about sexuality no matter how many times we bring it on the agenda. As we were saying yesterday, we will not talk secularism no matter how many times it's brought. Even in the last convention, both were brought in, refused to discuss it. So there's a problem in so there would be a periphery within this privileged citizenship.
Thank you, Nazish, for your thought-provoking, even provocative paper. I also have some provocative questions for you. I just want to draw you out on bits and pieces of what you said. Since you said it's not a complete paper, so you said the Pakistani state is not a misogynist state. Well then, is it a feminist state then? That's my first question to you. You spent a lot of time on Rana Liaquat Ali Khan, but do you really give any traction to APFA, the All Pakistan Women Association, in trying to understand the demands of even the privileged members from the state? Because I understand it as probably the first state women's NGO, and there was no other model after that. And I don't know, but it hasn't been researched as well a lot, So did that organization actually succeed in its claims to the Pakistani state? Or do you see it as a collaboration as well of some state level elite rich women led by Rana Liaquat Ali Khan with the state? Also, I'm a bit surprised that you circumvented the Benazir era. You said that the nature of the state has got nothing to do with the fact that women have either collaborated or resisted. Do you see her time? Because of course she was the first woman Prime Minister of Pakistan. So do you just see her role as a blip on the screen? Or I'm sorry, it did not really come out. And yes, then do you see her as a peripheral woman? Because when she came to challenge Zia, she was really a peripheral woman who just rode on the popularity of her late father, and then if that is true, do you see then Malala Yousafzai as a potential game changer? Because she has also said she plans to contest for the Prime Ministership, and she is right now a peripheral woman in Pakistan, although she's won the Nobel Prize, but she's not living here. So do you see that because she has a future claim to this Pakistani state when she says that she wants to become a Prime Minister of Pakistan? So do you and in that respect she has some parallels with Benazir, because both are outsiders and still, they're not connected with the women's movement in that Pakistan. Just these few disjointed set of thoughts. Thank you.
Nazish, as everybody else has said, you always, provoke thinking and also further questions. And I think Farida's asked some very valid questions that confront us all the time. That what are we if we call ourselves a movement, who do we represent and what are we and what are we? Many questions that keep coming up. I think what is most important that you've done is to show how complex the situation is. The whole issue of power relations and how women at different points and situations try and contest that. And as you say, why is it that women activists and others always turn to the state for redress? But I think that's natural. That is the center of power and that is a regulator. And all these laws that exist and the rules and regulations that Nivedita referred to are the creation of the state. So it's our legitimate rights to ask the state to correct them. So in that sense, I think that is legitimate and not, a feudal lord will not unless his power is reduced by an action of the state, by reducing the quantum of land that he has. So I think when women, wherever they are, when they question the state, contest it, it is the most obvious institution to go to. The other thing is that, when we talk about, women's resistance or reaction or wanting to assert their rights, we have to look at the practicality of it all. Where do we have access? Where do they have access? And through whom do they get access? To go to court or to the police station is not easy even for a man, given the structure of the police system, the Thana culture. So for a woman to now start going to the Thana itself is a big movement forward when we now see women going to the Thana. And therefore, how do we as activists make sure that she can easily go to that resort? So, I think our roles also keep changing. Sometimes we see as adversary, strident, questioning, resisting, but at other times we change our strategies and tactics because the goal still remains the same. So I think we need to be able to debate and not constantly see what we are missing out, but also see what we are achieving in the process. And I think that's an important part. I do agree with you and both with Farida that this dichotomy of periphery and center is very changes from time to time. So the important thing is the resistance part of it, and where do women rebel and successfully, and where they do it collectively and individually. Because household still remains a space which is outside the bounds of others, and we don't acknowledge, don't even know what the levels of resistance there is. The other, I'm not asking questions, but I'm just
I'm so sorry because we're really way over time, okay. And if you have to break for lunch at 1 and the other session has to have a fair chance. So if you may just complete your thought. I'm so
just that thought. I thought that this has created more thinking and more questions. But just one more thing that I wanted to suggest to Nazish. About 10 years ago, we did a poverty assessment with people, with women in Fanta. You may want to look at the results of that, which may inform you more about what is happening now.
Thank you. Given that, no, please do respond, take 5 minutes, because we really have to be fair to the next session and we will not be able to break for lunch even at 1 if we carry on like this. So if you can take 5 minutes to quickly respond.
I think this is something that I keep reiterating the importance of, is the importance of understanding and mapping change. You just given the Thana example, I think it's a brilliant example. Because a small regulation was changed that women cannot be kept into Thanas overnight, so many years ago. So rapes of women inside Thanas are pretty much over. There might be isolated cases, but as a trend, and it was a trend, that there were rapes in Thanas and so on. In ADR cases which they've instituted in places. So I'm just saying that things have moved, so I kind of agree with you and I see the necessity. I'm just not going to answer everything, I'm going to rush through. I didn't mean to gloss over Benazir at all, and that's actually not what I was saying. The point was not whether she was irrelevant or not irrelevant, and not actually even to say the state was irrelevant. What I was saying that women's engagement with the state is not contingent upon whether it's a democratic state or not. So it's not like women only engage when there's a democratic state or government, and they don't engage when there's a militarist government. So my point was really to say that that's not what it is. So that's what I meant by irrelevant in that context. Is it a feminist state? No, it's not. I can't imagine anyone even beginning to kind of make that argument. My only point of saying it's that I find the notion of a misogynist state alienating was that I think it's a defeatist position. And I think that answers what Kavar was also talking about, that because it's natural, she's right, it's natural for us to turn to the state, it's a center of power, but because it's such a reflex, that I think we need to find the redemption for the state. Writing the state off as, okay, misogynist, we can't do anything about it, it's so systemic, it's so structural, that we can't get beyond it, and the state must now wither away. And there have been, academic pursuits of the state needing to wither. I'm just saying that we can't afford it. So it's really in that context. Shaila's point about universities, I think that's an important conversation to have on what universities are doing and women's universities are doing. I'm probably not the right person to have that conversation with, but I think it's an important dialogue to start, and maybe this particular topic needs to be first housed in the academia. And you'll be surprised at how much dissent that we already hear from different pockets. So I think the good thing about these academic centers is they are also spaces for dissent. The fact that you can stand here and say this, right? So I think that's a good thing, and I think this conversation should go forward. I think all the other questions are very important questions, but I don't think they're questions that either Farida or Nivedita expect me to answer. I think they are questions that we know are critical questions and we need to address them, and there's no way in hell Nazish Brohi can sit here and answer those, so I think we can stop here.
Thank you so very much.
I just want to also apologize to them and thank them for waiting so patiently, and I'm very sorry about the way this was done, but I don't have anyone else to pick up my kids, so I want to thank you and apologize for this.
I just wanted 1 minute because I'm not sure where Rabbia got the impression that I'm talking about the state articulation of the female or the woman. That wasn't my point at all. My point really is that subjectivity is a complex issue, and that's what we're focusing on. None of us live hyphenated, fractured lives. We have multiple identities, and my question was that it is not always, my response to Nazish was that it's not always vis-a-vis the state that women are defining themselves and acting to change the situation in which they find themselves. So I just want to be clear about that. And the second thing, just to say that it's really a question of, in that subjectivity, it can be the state, it can be a feminist movement, it can be some labor identity, any identity. What gives you the power to contest the power in which, the power dynamics in which you're enmeshed? And that is, for me, doing the study, I hope Farzana has another conference, but I'm not talking about the study, but just to say that in the study, two things that have struck me, hundreds of women, and this is across the four provinces, there are two things. One, people do not speak about the division of collective identities as religions, thought, X, Y, Z. They mix it up. When they talk about people who live in my community and who do we get along with, they are not these neat analytical things. And secondly, the sheer violence with which female normativity is imposed on most women in this country is unbelievable, and their voices are obviously something which is extremely moving. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and I'm sorry to have been such a draconian chair, but I think at this rate we'll actually only break around 1:15, and we'll have a 15-minute lunch. So I'm trying to save your lunch, I'm trying to have a fair discussion, so I'm really sorry the discussion was very rich. I'm sorry I had to cut it short. We now move to the next session. The speaker is Imaan Semmalar, a trans activist from Kerala, India. He holds a BA Honours degree in English Literature from Lady Shri Ram College in Delhi and an MA in Arts and Aesthetics from Jawaharlal Nehru University. He has written, directed and acted in a multilingual docufiction film on trans men titled Kalvetuval, which has been screened in Delhi, Bangalore, Chennai, Madurai, Kerala and Sweden. He has been writing about LGBTI issues for several leading newspapers in India, including DNA, Bombay and New Indian Express, Chennai. He lives in Bangalore and was a radio host for a show on Q Radio, India's first online LGBT radio channel, and has worked on building alliances with several movements over the years. And she believes that anti-caste gender activism is crucial for actualizing any revolutionary social change. The title of this paper is slightly different from the one on the program. It is now, Whose Feminism Is It Anyway? Towards an Alternative Gender Consciousness. The discussant, you all know extremely well. Rabbia is currently a lecturer at the Center for Excellence in Gender Studies, Quaid-i-Azam University, Islamabad, with which she has been associated for the last 6 years. Before joining QAU, she worked in different capacities at Allama Iqbal Open University, Fatima Jinnah Women University, and others, as well as in the development sector as a researcher. With an academic background in sociology and gender, her research and teaching areas include gender-based violence, the social construction of gender, and the gender dimensions of land rights. Apart from her professional engagement, she is also involved with various activist networks and voluntary forums. Who has owned to the podium.